There's a break in the clouds over there, but it's pretty cloudy today here in New York City. Today, I'm flying from LaGuardia to West Palm Beach. I'm very excited about this, but I'm not sure I'm going to get to see too much on takeoff today. Today, my flight is from LaGuardia to West Palm Beach, and it's coming from Atlanta. Now, the flight before that came from Providence, and there was actually a weather system right over Atlanta Airport, so the aircraft had to hold slightly to the east of Atlanta before landing, which got into Atlanta a little bit late. Well, the airport did a good job turning the aircraft around. It only spent 1 hour on the ground before it took off for LaGuardia Airport. However, the aircraft is not going to be flying the standard routing to LaGuardia, which incorporates use of the Courier arrival. Today, it's going to be flying the Milton arrival, which means that the aircraft needs to head up north towards Cleveland, Ohio, and then head to the east to LaGuardia. That increases the flight time, so I'm anticipating a slight delay on departure today. Let's see what happens. That's the elevated train behind me. I think people looking out the window on the train are going to be able to see more of New York City than I'll be able to see today from my flight. And as for our routing today to Florida, I'm expecting a pretty standard routing down to Florida via the White intersection. However, once we get to the Carolinas, we may actually take a land route. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's not going to happen today. A lot of what I thought would happen won't. Today is an irregular operations day here in New York, and that means that today will be another LaGuardia delay day. But I'm happy to see arrivals on final approach to runway 22 as I approach the airport from the northeast today. And that Manhattan view? Well, I better enjoy it now because I won't be seeing it later. These runway 13 departures are entering the cloud deck pretty soon after takeoff. And see this 737 here? Well, I should have taken this flight. It's headed to Palm Beach before my flight, and it's on time. Oh, and that plane is painted in Sky Team colors. I've been on that exact aircraft before, and I'll be on this exact plane in a future video, so stay tuned for that. It's time to complete my routine entrance to LaGuardia. I'm not really thinking about any delays. I'm thinking about the new parts of Terminal C that have opened up, and if there's any chance of good views on takeoff today. I just love flying into and out of this airport. All right, I'm here inside Terminal C, and today my aircraft will be an Airbus A321. I guess it doesn't matter what kind of plane I'll be on since most flights to LaGuardia are experiencing delays. As I went through TSA, my aircraft was flying near Cleveland and turning towards Pennsylvania to fly east towards New York City on what's known as the Courier arrival procedure, but shortly after it entered the Keystone State, a roadblock, or should I say air block, occurred. All right, my A321 is on the Courier arrival. However, it just entered a holding pattern over Pennsylvania, which is causing a delay for the inbound flight, which means my departure will be delayed today. The longer route and holding are contributing to the now 1 hour delay of my flight, Delta 1016, which was supposed to leave at 2:10 p.m. The new departure time is 3:10 p.m. because the plane won't even get here until around 2:10 p.m. At least the flight isn't canceled like other flights today. I guess I'll have more time to wander around the airport. Delta just opened up refurbished gates at the west end of the terminal. I'm getting my exercise in because Terminal C is massive. But now it's time for another flight update. So the inbound flight is out of the hold somewhere over Pennsylvania. However, the route between Pennsylvania and LaGuardia is completely blocked. So the aircraft is actually going up to the north and will then take a northern approach, approaching LaGuardia from the north to the south. It's a complicated day today. Intense thunderstorms are blocking a straight line path to LaGuardia, so the plane is heading to upstate New York to go around the storm's upper end. I'm going to head down to the gate area to see if there's any updates, and I'm in luck because the entry to gates 80 to 89 is now open, and my flight is leaving from gate 86, so I'm experiencing mixed emotions now. My mind keeps thinking about the inbound flight and if it will have enough fuel to get to LaGuardia, but my eyes are experiencing for the very first time this newly opened and stunning new space. The 80 to 89 concourse itself has been open for a while, but it was only accessible by a temporary bridge tunnel that went around the old D terminal. With part of the old D terminal demolished, the grand entry to this area is complete and open. Check out my video from June 8th, 2024, where I highlight what's new here at Terminal C. A few gates at the beginning haven't been set up yet due to some ongoing construction outside, and the old D terminal's old concourse is still in the way on the left side, but this is a magnificent space. All right, and that's it. The old D terminal is behind me. Never again will we get to go inside the old D terminal. This concourse is taking its place. I just arrived at my gate and got some bad news. Okay, I just learned that my flight is going to be diverting to Albany right now, which means an even longer delay. They're going to have to make a recovery flight from Albany to LaGuardia. It's going to be a while.
Due to the weather at LaGuardia, the aircraft is diverted to Albany. Right now your flight is delayed to 4:35. Once again, I apologize for the delay. Now it's scheduled to take off from Albany at 3 p.m.
So it's now a 4:35 departure time. The scheduled departure time was 2:10 p.m. All right, so my flight is now delayed about 2.5 hours because the inbound aircraft diverted to Albany. Now, I got really excited because LaGuardia is in redevelopment, and this is the first time I just walked through a brand new entryway to the concourse to get to my gate. There's a lot of changes at LaGuardia Airport, but it doesn't fix the delay problem. You see, the weather en route just causes aircraft to hold, run out of fuel, and basically divert to another airport. There's not that much that can be done about it. Of course, it's a beautiful airport, but the beauty just does not fix the airspace constraints in the Northeast. I just can't sit down and wait at a gate at any airport. I'm always too pumped up at an airport, so I'm going to walk around and enjoy the new architecture. That was the way to the old D gates. Can't go there anymore. Physically, the past is in the past, and I'm in this amazing new space right now, but if this were 2018, 2013, 2004, 1997, 1993, or even today in 2024, the delays can't be fixed with a new space like this. Weather is weather, and there's nothing we can do about Mother Nature. Those planes are getting out off of runway 13, and I hope to be there soon. It's not raining here yet in New York City, but things are really bad to the west. I went for a walk, and in just a few minutes, it started to rain. Okay, I worked my way over to the east side of the airport. Not looking that good out there right now. That storm is starting to engulf the New York metropolitan area. This means that other flights here at the airport may not be able to land or take off, especially if their route is blocked. But the good news is that my flight has successfully landed in Albany, which is around 118 nautical miles north of LaGuardia. Okay, I've literally walked the entire airport from the east end to the west end, checking out everything here. I'm a little concerned about our flight today. These cells are moving in, and that aircraft is coming on into LaGuardia pretty soon from Albany. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm getting anxious, and I'm wondering if I'm going to make it to PBI sometime tonight. I really don't have anywhere to go, so I'm just pacing around the airport. Now, if I still had my Diamond Medallion status, I would probably be spending some of this time in the Delta Sky Club, and I no longer have access to that because I no longer have that available as a choice benefit to me. Yes, I do feel a little bit less special because I'm not able to go to the Sky Club, and I'm flying Delta with the same frequency that I'm normally flying Delta at, but I just cannot spend the minimum spend thresholds to get to Diamond Medallion status, and it's only increased, so it's going to be more and more difficult to get to that level. What I really don't understand is that I'm just not encouraged to spend any more money because I can't get to those levels of status, and the flights are really inexpensive, and I'm even seeking out flights that don't cost a lot of money just to save money. It's an interesting concept. If Delta would lower their thresholds, I'd probably spend more.
Do not transport any item or someone you do not know. If you believe that someone has tampered...
It's not looking good out there. The time right now is around 2:45 p.m. The aircraft just left the gate in Albany, but there is a line of thunderstorms all the way from Albany to LaGuardia. I don't know what's going to happen. Whoa, it is getting really intense out there. The good news is that to the west of the line of thunderstorms, things are a lot clearer, so hopefully the aircraft will be able to fly once that cell system passes, but for now, it's not exactly flying weather. No more complimentary food for me. I just have to buy it and eat it. It's 3:30 now. The weather is getting a little bit better here in New York City. My aircraft actually is still in Albany. It's at the end of the runway, just waiting for clearance to come on to LaGuardia. It's taken a while now. I'll be sitting here for 1 hour, and it will be 1 hour from the time the plane leaves the gate in Albany to the time it takes off from the runway. Okay, it's 3:45 p.m. and the plane is taking off from Albany right now. I think I should have taken that SkyTeam 737 that I saw earlier today from LaGuardia to Palm Beach. It went on time. It's a pretty quick flight from Albany to LaGuardia, so I'm going to head down to the gate to see what's going on down there. All right, I'm back at the gate area. The plane should land pretty soon, and then we should board. What a day so far. Since the plane took a longer route to New York, held, and then diverted to Albany and performed a recovery flight, our new departure time is 5:10 p.m. That's a 3-hour delay so far. Hopefully, we'll be up there soon, making the standard right-hand turn after takeoff to the south off of runway 13. Well, the ground crew is now in place for the A321, so let's welcome it to gate 86 here at Terminal C at LaGuardia Airport. have to say that Delta did a great job of turning this plane around from an arrival to departure. Its entire dwell time at the gate was around 60 minutes. Not bad for the A321, which is the largest aircraft type that LaGuardia sees these days. I'm thankful it's here, and to celebrate this, as soon as the plane came to a stop, the Delta Thank You A321 took off from runway 13. I see this plane a lot in my travels with Delta Airlines. Okay, it's 4:45 and boarding is beginning. Boarding is being rushed as the new departure time is 5:10. I'm in Zone 3 today because my seat is in the Comfort Plus cabin. While the plane was boarding, there was still significant bad weather to the west and south, so unfortunately, we will not be able to fly the quickest path to South Florida today. We have to go out over the ocean. All right, we're on board the A321. Looks like we're going to get radar vectors to the ship intersection today, which is going to make our flight extra long. It's going to be a long day and long night today. This proposed flight path here on the screen is completely wrong. It's just a straight line, and it makes it look like the flight will be quick and efficient. It won't be. We're going to head out east over the ocean before heading south. Here's the screen reminding me of my current medallion status with Delta. Let's listen into the pilot's initial announcement to the passengers.
International Airport. Do apologize for our delay today, as you probably know. Late inbound aircraft due to a lot of the weather that has surrounded the Northeast today, causing a fair amount of delays. We are ready to go up here. We'll be off the gate here in just a few minutes. Hopefully, we're planning on just about 10-minute taxi to the runway. Right now, we don't anticipate any further delays, but we'll know for sure once we get start taxiing. And if there are, I'll be sure to let you know. Once we're airborne, 2 hours, 36 minutes of flying time, cruising 34,000 feet initially. Anticipating a little bit of rough air in our initial climb. I've asked for flight attendants, please remain in their seats until we reach our cruising altitude. At points that we can assess the right conditions as we proceed further down the road. Good weather in Palm Beach right now. Just broke the clouds, good visibility, 93 degrees right now. I'd like to thank you for flying with us. Welcome aboard.
The captain just said it's a 10-minute taxi. No way today. Not happening. With an irregular schedule and out-of-sync operations, there's a big departure queue, and with limited real estate, there's just not enough room out there. It will not take 10 minutes today. It's now 5:30 and we just pushed back. We were supposed to leave the gate at 2:10 p.m. We're over 3 hours late, but to get things moving, our pilot reaches out to LaGuardia Ground Control for taxi instructions to runway 13, the departure runway. To get there, we'll need to take taxiway Bravo, which parallels runway 13, then cross runway 22, continue along taxiway Papa, which taxiway Bravo became, and then turn right onto the runway. This can be accomplished in 5 minutes, but as we leave the ramp, we can see that there's a traffic jam on taxiway Bravo, and the only way to get to the runway is to join the conga line. There's a parallel taxiway called taxiway Alpha, but that's being used for traffic that just landed on runway 22 to get to their gates at terminals B and C. For now, there's about 25 planes in front of us waiting to take off. We move quickly at first, but there's a line in front of us, so we'll just have to wait in line, but there's a catch. Each of these planes is going to a different destination, which means that they will all be dispersed in different directions. A flight to Minneapolis will use a departure fix to the northwest, while a flight to, say, St. Louis will use a departure fix to the west. Today, certain departure fixes are swapped with bad weather or volume and can't be used, and there are storms all over the west, so there are very few options for these flights. Our flight was supposed to go to a southern departure fix called White, but it's too swamped, so we've been given a route to a fix called Ship, which is to the southeast, one of the only departure areas with no bad weather, so we can take off right away since Ship can accommodate us, but in front of us are 25 other airplanes that can't get out because their departure fixes are closed. With a small footprint, the path to the runway is blocked, so we're stuck. We can only wait and inch up behind the plane in front of us when it moves. That's why it won't take 10 minutes to get to the runway. But there's a quicker way out. You see, once we get closer to runway 22, there's more space to place restricted flights on both sides of the runway, so when we get to that point, flights going to closed departure fixes will parallel runway 22 on the east side and cross it midway to get to the other side of runway 22, where there are many taxiways where they can be staged until their departure fixes open up. As those aircraft move, they create a clear path for us to move straight ahead to cross runway 22 and proceed right onto runway 13 since Ship is open to accept us right away. This means that we can get to the runway in only 30 minutes. That's 20 minutes more than what the pilot predicted, but a lot less time than all of those other planes. They could be out there for an hour or more. We're lucky we're not going to one of their departure fixes. Imagine if any of those flights were already delayed like us. So the only reason why we have a 30-minute taxi is because of planes in front of us that can't get out that need to be staged and held on the ground. We're lucky, but we will experience longer than usual airtime today because of this. About 25 minutes after starting our taxi, we've moved up and are now at a point where all of those other planes have moved out of our way on both sides of runway 22 to clear a direct path for us to cross runway 22 to get to runway 13. The ground controller just needs to coordinate with the runway controller a gap between arrivals so we can cross the landing runway, runway 22. And this happens right after this JetBlue A320 lands. As we cross runway 22, we can see all of the other airplanes that are just waiting there to take off. They're either on the east side of runway 22 waiting to cross it to get to a holding position, or already in their holding position on the west side of runway 22. Despite being delayed for several hours already, at this point, we're really lucky. No one else at this point has a departure fix of Ship, and there are no planes in front of us. The ground controller simply has us cross runway 22, then switch to the tower control frequency, who tells us to enter runway 13. I wonder how many passengers and all the other planes out there are wondering how we're allowed to take off before them, despite us leaving the gate after them. Other than that parked 757 and a few other corporate jets, all of these airliners are full of passengers and they're not moving at all. They're just sitting there on the west side of runway 22, waiting for air traffic control to inform them that their departure gate is opened up and then they can take off. Notice how none of them are too close to us. They're all stopped in an area to allow a direct path to the runway, which we're taking. These planes are also sequenced in an order so that if their departure fix opens up, they can easily move to get to the runway and take off. I've been there many times. One time the wait was so long, we had to go back to the gate to get some more fuel for a new and longer route, but this flight is sufficiently fueled for the longer route to Florida today. At this point, we're actually extra lucky because there are no flights on final approach to runway 22, so we're issued takeoff clearance without having to come to a stop and position on runway 13 because there are no conflicts of traffic in the intersection of the two runways. As we turn the corner on the runway 13 pier that extends out over the water, I'll brief you now on our climb out since I'll let you listen into the engine sounds when we take off. After takeoff, we'll start a right-hand turn to a southern heading on what's known as the Nathan's departure. Yes, it's named for Nathan's famous hot dogs in Coney Island, and a series of right-hand turns will point us in the general direction of Nathan's in Coney Island as we climb initially to 5,000 feet. Then departure controllers will provide radar vectors via left-hand turns to the out-of-the-way fix of Ship. Let's roll right now. In our right-hand turn, we contact a departure controller in Nassau County as we follow waypoints to get to Nathan's. Our initial climb gives us views of Flushing, New York, but clouds obstruct some of the view. I typically sit on the left-hand side of the plane when flying to Florida off of runway 13 because sometimes we'll fly the Whitestone climb, which brings us to the north, circling the airport on the left, but today we're headed south immediately. Typically, one should rejoice in a right-hand turn to the south, as it brings us in the direction that we need to go, and if our departure fix was white, we'd be on a heading like this without making any major turns for most of the flight. That's efficient, and especially more efficient than the Whitestone climb, but White, which is located in southern New Jersey, is saturated. So after flying this southern direction toward the Coney Island area, navigational efficiency will be abandoned because we'll be told to turn to the left, to the east. By the way, if I were seated on the right side of the plane, Manhattan would be in the distance, but who knows how much of it I'd be able to see with clouds like this. Since I left for the airport 7 hours ago, yes, I've been doing this for 7 hours, I wasn't expecting good views today. I also wasn't expecting delays. I got to LaGuardia extra early to check out all the new developments, but didn't need all that time. The slight turn here brings us directly toward a fix called Nathan's, but it's not over Coney Island. This new heading points us nearly directly toward Florida and would be perfect if we held it for hundreds of miles, but that will not happen, as I explained. We're just in a corridor of airspace between LaGuardia and JFK and need to be here for air traffic separation purposes. Our position wasn't chosen with Florida in mind. Remember, this is a video about delays at LaGuardia, and in a few moments, our estimated time of arrival is going to be extended to a later time since we'll be taking the long route today. It's actually one of the longest routes of all the typical routes down to Florida. Today just isn't my lucky day, but I'm happy I'm on an airplane, and I'm lucky that I'm able to see one of my favorite views before this flight becomes an overwater flight. It's JFK Airport. You can see how there's a lot more room at JFK to stage delayed aircraft than at LaGuardia. JFK is experiencing the same ground delays as LaGuardia, as flights going to the west and other areas can't take off, but at JFK the airlines try to hold their planes at their gates instead of near the runway to be more efficient. We just made a slight right turn as part of our climb procedure as we'd taken a nice view of Jamaica Bay before we fly over the Atlantic Ocean. I'm glad that there are less clouds here so we can see most of the bay. This takeoff today clearly wasn't one of the visually stunning departures that I've shown on this channel before. Today, JFK departures are climbing out off of runway 22 right over Jamaica Bay, and I'm looking out for them. There goes one, and it's in a left-hand turn. That's pretty much what we're going to do. I'm guessing that this flight is headed to Europe, as departures off of JFK will often turn around here to the east and will either take a course that will parallel Long Island's South Shore, like we'll be doing soon, or continuing a left-hand turn to the north and taking a more northern route to Europe. Those turns make navigational sense, since the route to the North Atlantic for the crossing to Europe is in that direction. But for us, it's out of the way. But the fact is that the east is the only clear airspace right now. As we're handed off from the LaGuardia departure controller to the JFK departure controller as we enter JFK departure airspace, we're instructed to start an inefficient but necessary left-hand turn to the east. This brings us around Jamaica Bay as we climb higher, adding to the length of our flight. We're moving in a direction that won't take us to Florida, but away from the congestion and bad weather. Here's the map on the screen a few minutes later showing what we did. To get to Florida, we need to turn around 90 degrees to the right. It will be a while before we head south, but I'm happy we're now above the clouds so I can see planes like this Discover A330 flying from Philadelphia to Frankfurt. Alas, we started a right-hand turn to finally get us in the direction that we need to go in to get to Palm Beach, but we're really far offshore. We'll remain at a distance to the shoreline for the entire flight. Hugging or following the shore would have been much more efficient. This route, combined with a long taxi and an extremely long wait for our plane due to a diversion, have all contributed to a tardy flight, but I'm just happy to once again be flying on a plane. The rest of the flight was smooth since we stayed away from rough air this way, but I really didn't get to see that much. Being over the ocean for an extended period of time is not that thrilling, and before I knew it, we were joining the arrival to Palm Beach. The plan for landing is to land on runway 10 left. We're approaching the South Florida area from the northeast. Once we make landfall, we'll turn inland to the right, then make a left-hand turn and land to the east. Well, that's it. I'm in Palm Beach after a very lengthy delay. I'm glad we made it. No matter how beautiful and updated the new LaGuardia Airport is, some things just don't change and delays are here to stay. Bad weather, heavy volume, and limited airspace and real estate are inevitable. But I'm here and ready to enjoy sunny Florida. I was expecting to land with some sun out, but oh well. All right, everybody, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was a long day. We got delayed out of LaGuardia Airport because the inbound arrival was late, and then we took a water route all the way down to Palm Beach. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I invite you to click on the subscribe button, the bell button, and the like button, because I'll be back again with more videos like this. Thanks, everybody.